Just a brief introduction about this program, the BABE Startup Accelerator Program. We have a lot of startup accelerator programs in other domains. Basically, a startup accelerator mentors the startups, provides funding to them, arranges funding for them through celebrity angel investors, through venture capitalists and other firms, and also provides incubation support. The incubator centers are those centers where a startup can use the facility without paying anything or buy a part of equity. So our motto behind starting this WaveX accelerator is to create an ecosystem for the startups to thrive in the media and entertainment ecosystem. There are other incubators also, there are other accelerator programs also, like we have the IDEX program of Ministry of Defense. But all those other programs are oriented around the product, final product and technology. The investors invest on the final product. But in the media and entertainment ecosystem, as you know, if you want to create a newspaper, you do not have a product ready. That's an idea. If you want to start a community radio, if you start an animation studio, for animation studios specifically and the gaming studios, you have the idea first, you create the product later. You should have a film as a project for you on which you can apply your VFX, right? So these things, our startup accelerator is focused on those ideas which do not have a tangible product in hand but have a solid potential. So WaveX Startup Accelerator, it is focused on the M&E startups like animation, film, gaming, comics, and theaters, all the things that are related to production, post-production of media entertainment and other forms of entertainment. Thank you. Over to Sandeep ji and questions, open to questions also.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Thank you, Ashutosh ji. Just a bit about the program, while most of it is covered by Ashutosh ji. We've been actually very, very fortunate here to organize the investment pitches for the early stage startups in this domain. While India is the third largest startup ecosystem in the world, this particular sector actually needs a lot of focus to increase the number of startups who are coming here. Generally, people are individuals who are creating content, and they possibly need a program like this to give them greater direction. While we started late, we still could manage to get about 1,000 odd entries. 1,000 startups from across India applied for pitching before investors. We have battery of large investors who invest in media and entertainment space, right from Lumika to Geo to Z47. We had Warm Up Ventures here and a couple of others. So about 50 of angel investors and investors, top of the line investors were there. We had about 1,000 odd people, startups from across India who applied for these challenges. Our team, we worked with KPMG to evaluate these startups, and eventually 30 startups presented in front of investors over 2 days. While of course investing in a startup is a long process, there's a lot of due diligence which needs to go in. Our initial assessment after talking to the investors, about 16 to 17 startups out of those 30 are in active conversation with the VCs and with the angels for some bit of investments that they've been looking at. Additionally, there were about 110 odd startups who also presented, who put in the startup pavilion, their MSME pavilion. And these are the startups which you all viewed, which you all saw. They displayed their product and services. And we believe that we continue this for next year. We'll have even larger presence and larger availability of startups in the ecosystem here. Um, and of course, this wave next year we should look for something really, really big. Thank you. Ashutosh.
So we have invited two of our investors for this program. So I would like Rajesh Yoshi to express their views on this program and what investors are finding in this program.
Thank you, Ashutosh. Good morning. We have been a startup or a serial entrepreneur myself. So I was an entrepreneur during when Startup India was launched by Honorable PM, and now I'm an investor when Honorable PM has launched it. So it's like a full circle for me. So thanks for having me here at MIB. Thanks for having me, Internet and Mobile Association of India. When I was doing my startups, the most important thing was that we find investors, we find customers, and we find government जो हमारी startup की तरफ देखे हम क्या करते हैं. I think having a platform like WaveX is great for those startups because they get immediate exposure, they get the government eyes on them, they get investors like us, customers. And our experience was great. I mean, they made our life easier because itni sari startups with so many, I mean, we had startups from Rajkot, from Dhanbad, from Noida, from Eastern India, from obviously from metros. So for us investors, it becomes a great job. So firstly, thank you. You made our life easier. हमको इधर उधर नहीं जाना पड़ा to look for the startups. Startups, as Ashutosh ji was saying, they were right from advertising, animation, AR, VR, films, generating AI, comics, you name it. So I think again, wonderful job. We get to see them. Some of the startups are also displaying themselves or showcasing themselves in the startup pavilion. So we as investors look for startups which are doing innovative stuff. Jiska time of नहीं आया, but there is a future of that. So we got to see that. Second thing, we as I represent warm-up ventures. We are a founder-focused venture fund. हम founders पे focus करते हैं, sector agnostic हैं. So media and entertainment, we have made 2 investments till now. One is Real Saga, and the other one is Exites, which is a gaming platform. So we got some startups here where the founders, because we are a founder-focused, and Warm-Up Ventures is also very much focused on tier 2, tier 3 entrepreneurs. So we are happy to be here. We listened to 25 plus pitches. So we are already, as Sandeep ji was saying, in discussion with 11 startups. And we hope to make few investments and then have those startups just investment data have booths the next time. So that's what we are aiming for. So thanks for having me here, and yeah, we look forward to be part with MIB, IMI for the long haul.
Thank you, Rajesh ji. We also have Mustafa ji here, and he's an angel, and his community is an angel investors community. So maybe over to you, sir, for your views.
Good morning, everyone, and I thank Ashutosh ji and Sandeep sir for such a good event. The startup pitches have been excellent. I represent Kabel. We are a community of finance and tax professionals. So I come from a background of media and entertainment. That is what I used to do 10 years back. And what I see is that there is a huge gap because not many mainstream investors wanted to invest in media. I think that inhibition is still there. And I thank Waves for creating a platform through which people can seamlessly invest in media and entertainment. It is the fastest growing industry in India. It's providing lakhs of employment, and it is India's ambassador to the world. I think the world knows India because of its culture, because of its movies, because of its music. And I think media and entertainment should be supported. What we are trying to do as a community is create an angel network specifically for media and entertainment. And we have come across some excellent startups during the pitches here. We are in talks with a few. As a community, we've been working very closely with a few international governments also, namely Dubai, UAE. So we are hoping to also take a few startups from India to the UAE and help them go global. That is what our agenda is. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mustafa ji. So I think we are now open for any questions, please.
I have one question. I'm from Delhi, Santosh Mehta. I'm well established myself as a journalist. I work for some magazines and written a lot for Hindu Tribune and now for Patriot. So I would like to know how do you decide good content, bad content, and is there any guidelines for uploading content? Because sometimes we have seen that lot of stuff is bad for teenagers and little children. So is there any guidelines you follow, or what's your suggestion for this?
So, of course, this question is out of our
Oh.
purview right now.
Okay,
Our purview is more from the perspective
okay,
that there is a young entrepreneur who possibly is in college or just passed out, and he's creating some content. Our purview here, sitting here, is to promote these kind of entrepreneurs.
okay.
Government of India has various guidelines which actually governs these kind of content, but I think we possibly are not equipped to talk about that here.
मेरा सवाल है, मैं नम्रता शुक्ला लखनऊ स्वतंत्र भारत से,
Please.
मैं लखनऊ से
Yeah, please.
Add to the answer.
Yeah, just to your point, ma'am, it's a very relevant question. Yesterday we had a startup which is exactly doing what you're saying. The
Okay.
startup's name is Giggle.
Okay.
It's a mobile app substituting YouTube and Instagram जहाँ पे ये सारा content चल रहा है. And I think I appeal to all of the people here and in fact to everyone that हम YouTube or Instagram, that's great to use, but we have certain Indian startups like Giggle who are taking that content out. You know, they are even removing sections like comments because
Okay.
where आपने adolescence movie या जो भी movies आई है, a lot of cyberbullying is done
हाँ,
towards
right.
young people. But
Trolling
we need
works.
to be aware that हमारी country में ऐसी startups है जो ये काम कर रही है, जो YouTube, Instagram को replace कर रही है, so that young people are used to taking. So Giggle is the app. I'm doing a plugin for a startup so people download it because it's better rather than we should use Bharat ke platforms because it's made with Bharat sensibility. So Giggle, or everybody download Giggle for your kids. Remove Instagram and YouTube from there. Focus.
मैं नम्रता शुक्ला लखनऊ स्वतंत्र भारत से, मैं ये जानना चाहती हूँ कि स्टार्टअप शुरू करने के लिए आप क्या देते हैं लोगों को, मतलब कोई अनजान है और उसे नहीं मालूम कि कितना बजट बनना चाहिए या कुछ करने के लिए, तो आप उसको सजेशंस भी देते हैं कि आप इतने बजट के अंदर आ सकते हैं। दूसरा मैं जानना चाहती हूँ, इंटीरियर में बहुत सारे लोगों को नहीं मालूम होता कि हम कैसे शुरू करें, जैसे मैं गांव की बात कर रही हूँ, तो अगर आपका ऐसा कोई वो है कि अगली बार मतलब इंटीरियर को भी फोकस करेंगे तो वो भी हमको बताएं।
अभी ये हमारे प्रोग्राम का फर्स्ट ईयर है और इसमें आगे जो है, अभी हमारा प्रोग्राम इसमें हमने था कि पहले में ये एक्सेस करना था कितने ऐसे स्टार्टअप्स हैं मीडिया एंटरटेनमेंट डोमेन में जिनको फंडिंग या मेंटरशिप की रिक्वायरमेंट है। तो इस बार जब हमने स्टार्ट किया तो 2 महीने में, जैसे संदीप ने बताया कि मैं 1100 के अराउंड रजिस्ट्रेशन हुए। तो अभी हमें रिक्वायरमेंट पता चली है, वेवेक्स प्रोग्राम जो हमने स्टार्ट किया समिट के साथ, दिस इज जस्ट अ स्टार्ट। इसमें आगे हम ये करेंगे कि हम वेवेक्स प्रोग्राम को धीरे धीरे आगे बढ़ाएंगे, इंक्यूबेटर सेटअप करेंगे और डेडिकेटेड मेंटर्स भी लाएंगे जो ऐसे स्टार्टअप, यदि आपके पास कोई आइडिया है, यदि आपको कोई कॉमिक्स बुक क्रिएट करनी है, तो हम ऐसे इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर बनाएंगे जहां आप जा सकते हो अपने आइडिया को लेके। अगर आपका सीड फंडिंग यानी कि अपने स्टार्टअप शुरू करने का पैसा नहीं, तो हम ऐसे इन्वेस्टर्स भी आपको ला के देंगे जो सीड फंडिंग में आपकी मदद करें। तो ये अभी हमारा स्टार्ट में है, अभी 2 महीने पहले हमने वेवेक्स को स्टार्ट किया। तो अब कमिंग डाउन द लाइन summit is over, but Webex will continue with other things and with other initiatives, and we will definitely go into the interior area also. Next question.
So can I ask on startup, because startup पे मैं जानना चाह रही थी सर कि जैसे महिलाएं हैं, मतलब स्टार्टअप करना चाहती हैं, तो आपके जैसे आप इसी फील्ड के हैं, तो कोई ऐसा डाटा बता सकते हैं कि कितनी महिलाएं स्टार्टअप में आई हैं, और अगर जो करना चाहती हैं मान लो, तो वो कितना पैसे लगाएं कि मिनिमम हो और वो अपने बजट के हिसाब से करें, और कोई गाइडलाइंस हो कि कौन से काम शुरू करें स्टार्टअप में महिलाएं खासतौर से, जिनकी मतलब नॉलेज थोड़ी अलग होती है, मतलब ज़्यादा भी होती है। तो आप अपने व्यूज़ प्लीज़ बताएं।
काफ़ी इम्पोर्टेंट सवाल है एंड ये फ्रॉम एन एंटरप्रेन्योर से मैं एक्चुअली पूरे स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम को देखता हूँ एंड नॉट ओनली मीडिया एंड एंटरटेनमेंट। विमेन पार्टिसिपेशन बहुत ही कम है एंड इट इज़ ऑलवेज good to promote women entrepreneurship. It helps them to make themselves independent. There are when we organize such programs, तो मैं हमारी कोशिश होती है कि there is a separate section for women entrepreneurs. There are startup pitches which are focused only on women entrepreneur related products or their services, whatever they can offer in their domains. Exact data I don't know, to be very frank. As Ashutosh ji said that this is the first year, ये पहला attempt है पूरा करने के लिए. So I think जैसे जैसे हम लोग प्रोग्रेस करेंगे ऑन वेवेक्स एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप, पॉसिबिलिटी है कि विल हैव मोर क्लियरर programs around women entrepreneurship and also maybe we'll be able to give you more accurate data on how much women participation is there.
So, Adarsh from All India Radio. In Create in India Challenge, there were a lot of innovative ideas that were presented, especially in the field of VR, AR, and broadcasting, especially involving hackathons. So, will these ideas be pushed ahead, provided these seed funding or any incubation?
Some of the startups that were in Create in India Challenge, I think one of them also participated under Wavex for the funding pitching. Technotrix, I think that is a VR company which makes arcade games. So they already pitched, and I think some of investors, I think Rajesh is in touch with for further funding. So what we have, Create in India Challenge is an open challenge because it's open for participants from all sectors, for students. And so what we have told these students, if you have potential, if your product which you have built under the Create in India Challenge, if that has product and you want to get it furtherized, you create a startup and then you come back again to the Wavex and then we will push it forward. So there is a complete connection between that. And further adding to that, after Wavex, after getting the boost from Wavex, if a startup is in a category where it is generating revenue or it is delivering complete products, then we have the Waves Bazaar segment where we have buyers from around the world who can buy these products from the sellers. So the startups can also register themselves on the Waves Bazaar to get their products a ready-made market. So this is a complete ecosystem we are trying to build.
Yeah, I would like to ask one thing. How many startups were there for the one-to-one interactions, and how many meetings have happened? How many materialize would be, of course, a latter thing. But yeah.
So as I said earlier, we approximately received about 1,000 odd applications from startups across India, and our evaluation team along with KPMG helped us to evaluate those startups. One-on-one pitches, rather the investor pitches, there were 30 startups which actually presented over 2 days, 15 each day. And out of those 30 startups, in our estimation until yesterday evening, there were some 16 conversations with various investors, angels, which are going on. how many finally result in that is a long process. So due diligence and IP, the content piece, all that everybody has to evaluate. But as of now, about 50% of those 30 are in conversation with some VCs or angels for their funding.
One thing,
Yeah.
one thing I would like to add in that, कि not just these 30 pitching startups, we have a startup pavilion downstairs in the pavilion where we have around 110 startups, and we are yet to track how many meetings they are having, because it was the most busy place in the pavilion. If you go today also, you will find the most buzzing area in the startup pavilion. We have 110 startups and they are having conversations with a lot of potential investors, because the 40 investors which whom we have onboarded have listened to the pitches, but these 40 investors also went to the startup pavilion, and we have to get back from these startups how many actual deals they are having. So we have around 150 total startups, if you count 150, 140 startups which are having dealings, but actual figures will be coming later.
Hi sir, this is Amru Sutar here from ETV भारत. आज छुट्टी का दिन है. पिछले 3 दिनों से कितने लोगों ने विजिट किया है जिनका रजिस्ट्रेशन एक्चुअली में हुआ है, इसका कुछ मतलब स्कोर है क्या, और कितने MOUs अभी तक हुए हैं सिग्नेचर, इसका कुछ कितना करोड़ में हुआ, इसका कुछ फिगर है क्या?
ये डेटा एनालिसिस अभी हमारा करना बाकी है. अगर हम जो हमारा इनवाइटीज थे और जो हमारे बुक माई शो के थ्रू हमने रजिस्ट्रेशन लिए थे, वो सारा डेटा हो गया. उसके बाद भी हमने कई लोगों को अलाउ किया है, एंड वी हैव टू एनालाइज द डेटा आफ्टर द समिट इज ओवर, बिकॉज आई थिंक द बिजनेस पासेस जो हमने बिजनेस पासेस किए थे वो हमने एक टाइम पे उनको रोकना पड़ा क्योंकि इतनी ज़्यादा भीड़ हो गई थी. फिर हमने दोबारा कल डे 3, 4 2 ओपन डेज, इसमें हमने सभी के लिए ओपन किया है. तो आज शाम तक हम जब क्लोज करेंगे, आज कितनी एंट्रीज हुई जो हमारे बारकोड स्कैनर्स बाहर लगे हुए, तो आज हमें पता लगेगा एग्जैक्ट कितने लोग आए हैं.
लेकिन पिछले 3 दिन में कितने MOU सिग्नेचर हुए, इसका तो कुछ
सर,
डेटा है?
मतलब थ्रू आउट द समिट कितने MOU साइन हुए, क्योंकि CM साहब ये बता रहे थे कि 8,000 करोड़ का जो MOU है वो महाराष्ट्र के लिए साइन किया, महाराष्ट्र स्पेसिफिक है. तो थ्रू आउट द समिट कितने MOU साइन किए गए हैं?
आज कितने होने वाले कुछ?
आई थिंक उसका ये हमारा जो ये अभी है ये स्टार्टअप पे फोकस वाला है. अगर आप पूरी वेव समिट के, क्योंकि डिफरेंट है, उसका अभी हमारे पास डेटा नहीं. दिस इज प्योरली फॉर द स्टार्टअप्स वेवेक्स प्रोग्राम.
Yeah, this is only for Vivek. There is another which will happen. जो आप पूछ रहे हैं is more global, and I think उसके लिए probably there is another press conference which is being planned.
Okay, I have a question on the topic.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I have been a visiting faculty for content creation and mass media, and over these many years of teaching, I have figured out one thing, that our students have immense talent. Okay, and when it comes to content creation, this question is specifically for Rajesh sir and Mustafa sir. Okay, that when creating content, you actually don't require a space like an office space. Okay, and these students have ideas about getting startups. Only thing is that while registering their startup, okay, wherein you require a PAN card, an office space is required. Now, when we are talking about content creation, wherein space is actually not required, okay, how can we solve this issue, or what could be the Suvarna Madhya for this?
I think थोड़ा question को reframe करना पड़ेगा.
Okay.
ऑफिस स्पेस कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको किसी ऑफिस में जाके लेना है. स्टार्टअप, आई एम अ स्टार्टअप, आई एम स्टार्टिंग इट फ्रॉम माई हाउस, आई हैव गिवन माई हाउस. पैन कार्ड तो ऑफ कोर्स इज अ डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट. इट्स अ government of India law, so everybody has it, right? The point is that these are not limiting factor. If you look at the application process जो अभी भी था, हमारे पास भी था, हमने उसमें DPIIT का registration मांगा था स्टार्टअप इंडिया में, but that was not mandatory. People who did not have DPIIT's registration also applied. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि this is a mandatory item. It is more to do with what is your thought, what is your content. More important than thought and content is कि as an entrepreneur क्या आप उसको आगे लेके जा सकते हो, because it's a difficult journey. Entrepreneur journey is not a easy journey, and quite a number of startups fail. So I think आपकी जो resilience है वो इनको as a investor he has to assess. He is the guy on whom we are putting money to get. I mean, finally he should be able to be successful. I don't know, Rajesh.
So more than the compliances, when we talk about media and entertainment students, there is a bigger problem that they don't know how to monetize what they create. What Waves is going to be providing is a medium to monetize, a network that will help them grow, in whatever stream they want to. What media and entertainment institutes have been doing is they've been teaching the tech part of it or the process part of it. No one is teaching the business side of it. So they have to come, approach Waves, understand the business, start monetizing. I think you just need a good mobile phone, a camera to become a content creator, and then you need to know the know-how how to start monetizing it. And also as a content creator, you need to know exactly what content needs to work. So they need to be hand-holded on all those things. And that is the platform that Waves is exactly providing you.
Hi, this is Harshada.
I'd just like to butt in the things. Sorry. So I understand your question. I think your question is, we as investors, when we invest in a company, LLP, a private limited, a limited. But entrepreneur in the creative field is a creator. जिसको sole proprietorship या एक bank account से he can. So that's a challenge. So it will be a challenge for people like us that how can we invest in. आपका नाम क्या है?
Yash.
How can I invest in Yash? Yash doesn't have a private limited, doesn't have a LLP. So yes, that will be a challenge. It will also be a challenge from the government point of view, because a lot of the fundings which the startup programs are doing in an LLP or a one-person company or a private limited. So yes, I think we jointly have to figure out that this investments we as investors through startup schemes, हम कैसे करें. But that's something which I think Ashutosh you should consider, because in the creative field, entrepreneurs are individuals, not a company.
That is a big.
And to your question, ma'am, जो आपने women के बारे में पूछा था, just a data out of all the startups which we pitched, 7% were only women. So as Sandeep ji said that women participation is less, we need to encourage. But as our Honorable PM Modi has said, her creator. So I think it can't be a better creator than a woman working in either a kitchen or in her living room, this thing. So I think we are going to find more creators, women coming also, because they have so much of knowledge and they can cover so much of subject. The women can cover working, the women can cover cooking, women can't cover cooking as better. But there are so many aspects. So I think women creator entrepreneurs will only increase going forward.
But they may not particularly be here in the pavilion, but if you look at social media, they're on various platforms of e-commerce selling their small things. Even in the smallest village in Maharashtra, I could see a lady earning lakhs just by using her micro videos and things. But for an investor, how do you assess it? They may not know the LLP kind of thing or having a limited liability company.
So, like I admitted to Yash's question, it will be a challenge that whether we as warm-up ventures can invest in Yash. You would probably need Yash Private Limited, Yash LLP, because that's where the structure for us becomes better. I mean, we are also trying to look at how can we invest in one person and what will be that one person form. Because I think on the first day, Shantanu Narayan, the Adobe CEO, mentioned that the next unicorn will not be an app or a company, it will be an individual. So, I mean, that eye-opened for me and a lot of our investor community that, a brand, one person can be a unicorn. Now, how do we make those investments? So, we'll figure out. I think we collaboratively will figure out something how to invest in one person.
Just a simile on. So we do, as I said, we look at the entire ecosystem. फिनटेक का इकोसिस्टम ऐसा है जो ग्रो कर चुका है काफ़ी ज़्यादा, एंड उनके एग्जाम्पल्स को लेके हमको ऐसे इम्प्लीमेंट करना पड़ेगा. हम लोग वहाँ पे यात्रा ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं, कॉल्ड फिनटेक यात्रा. 2 महीने में 10,000 किलोमीटर वी गो डाउन फ्रॉम सिटी टू सिटी, छोटे से शहरों में जाके, बिकॉज ये आइडेंटिफाई करना बड़ा ज़रूरी है कि कौन कहाँ पे है क्रिएटर. देन इट इज़ द क्वेश्चन ऑफ द एजुकेशन, how do you have to do it. So it's a long road, it is not easy, of course, and of course with the ministry taking first step, I think ये करना थोड़ा सा आसान होगा, but still it's a difficult journey.
Mr. Mole, also, is the ministry looking at typically, because there will be many ethical considerations while creating content, is there a specific framework, that you're planning to put out for all kind of content creators?
I think time to time ministry has issued many guidelines, and if you see, I think a year back or somewhere we have also stopped. Ministry also put restrictions on some of the apps which were registered for as content, plain content, but they were giving adult content. So these guidelines are there, and see, in broadcasting sector, like in media, we have like self-regulation is most important, because when you make an app, either when you are making an app, you should have an ecosystem like that, like YouTube or Amazon are having, that can, by the use of AI, filter the content. But in India, such type of AI and the use of such technological stack is very costly. So self-regulation is important. If you are going into such field where you are creating content, then you have to be self-aware and not creating that content which is not as per the standards of the Ministry of INB. And if you are getting a crowdsourced content, like if you are making a platform like YouTube and getting it and you are opening it for users to upload their content, then you have to be very good in technology to enforce these standards. So this is a little bit of gray area which we have to work on, and further I think when we move more into the technological and research domain of these content driven apps, then we will have a better ecosystem. But as of now, it's a little bit open tap and we have to depend on the self-regulation.
सर ये वेव्स का जो यहाँ पे आयोजन किया है, मुंबई मेट्रो सिटी में है दरअसल। यहाँ पे सिटी के लोग आएंगे, उनके मतलब क्रिएटिव है, कंटेंट एडिटर है, उनको मौका मिल जाएगा। बट गांव में भी काफ़ी सारा उभरता टैलेंट है, उनमें भी क्रिएटिविटी है, कंटेंट राइटर है, उनको नहीं मौका मिलता है। तो इन फ्यूचर में आपका कोई ऐसा सोच है क्या कि गांव में भी एक वेब्स का वही समिट का आयोजन किया जाएगा, उनको भी मौका मिलेगा तो गांव के भी लोग आगे आ जाएंगे, ऐसा कुछ है आपका प्लान?
जैसे इस बार का अगर आप मैं क्रिएटिव स्फीयर वाला आपको बताता हूँ, क्रिएट इन इंडिया चैलेंज हमने स्टार्ट किया। क्रिएट इन इंडिया चैलेंज के जितने पार्टिसिपेंट्स अगर देखोगे तो दे आर नॉट लिमिटेड टू द मेट्रो सिटीज। वी हैव एंट्रीज फ्रॉम ओडिशा, वी हैव एंट्रीज फ्रॉम दोज स्टेट्स विच वी जनरली डोंट कंसिडर। हमारे पास बिहार के ऐसे क्षेत्रों से एक हमारा जैसे चैलेंज था हैंड हेल्ड इनोवेट टू एजुकेट। इसमें आपको प्योरली एक हार्डवेयर डिवाइस बनानी थी यूजिंग माइक्रो कंट्रोलर्स, एंड उसमें हमारे पास बाहर से मतलब नॉट ओनली इन इंडिया, फ्रॉम बाहर के देशों जैसे नाइजीरिया, एरिट्रिया, छोटे साउथ अफ्रीकन देश से भी हमारे पास एंट्री है। और जो मैं बताऊँ हार्डवेयर कंपोनेंट बनाने सबसे मुश्किल होते हैं। सॉफ्टवेयर यू हैव अ स्टैंडर्ड लैपटॉप, यू कैन मेक इट, बट हार्डवेयर के लिए यू नीड कस्टम पीसीबीज, कस्टम इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कंपोनेंट्स। वो भी हमारे बच्चों ने बना के भेजा। अगर आप देखेंगे क्रिएटिव स्फीयर में है इनोवेट टू एजुकेट, उसको देखिए, बच्चों ने जो डिवाइसेस बनाए हैं, दैट्स द ओनली टेंजिबल आउटपुट इन द क्रिएटिव स्फीयर। उन डिवाइसेस को आप देख के सोच सकते हो कि हमारे जो छोटे क्षेत्र हैं वहां से भी कितनी प्रतिभा निकल के आ रही है। वो आप डिवाइसेस यूज करो। उसका मेन जो मकसद था वो यही था कि ऐसी डिवाइसेस बनाना उन बच्चों के लिए, जैसे हमारे दिव्यांग बच्चे भी हैं, उन बच्चों के लिए ऐसी डिवाइसेस बनाना कि जो मोबाइल नहीं पकड़ सकते, मोबाइल उनके ऐसे फिसल जाता है। ऐसी डिवाइसेस बच्चों ने एक्चुअल बनाई है जो दिव्यांग बच्चे पकड़ सकते हैं, उसको समझ सकते हैं। उसकी मोबाइल जो है मोबाइल वाली स्क्रीन नहीं है, दूसरे टाइप की स्क्रीन को यूज किया। और ये मुंबई दिल्ली के बच्चों ने किया, छोटे शहर के बच्चों ने किया। अब इन्हीं बच्चों को क्रिएटिव स्फीयर के बाद जब ये अपने कॉलेज से निकलते हैं तो इनके पास एक मौका रहेगा कि वो अपनी एक स्टार्टअप फॉर्म करें। इंडिविजुअल और स्टार्टअप में बस एक ये अंतर हो जाता है, स्टार्टअप इज अ मोर सीरियस बिजनेस। When you open a startup, you have to show up daily. As an individual contributor, it depends on your mind. But when you are a startup, you are an entrepreneur, you have to be little more responsible. तब आपको फंड्स ओपन ज़्यादा होते हैं। कोई इंडिविजुअल पे अभी जैसे मेरे इन्वेस्टर्स हैं उतना इन्वेस्ट करने में रिस्क होता है, लेकिन जब यू आर अ स्टार्टअप, यू आर बैक्ड बाय सम सिक्योरिटीज, तो वो इजी हो जाता है। इसीलिए हमारे यहाँ भी फोकस ही है कि आप अपना जो भी बिजनेस है, छोटा मोटा आप घर पे भी करते हो, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन साइकिल्स हैं, यू मेक अ टेक्नोलॉजी, यू मेक समथिंग, give it a form. Startup is just a company, it's a form which makes you more responsible towards your business. इसीलिए हम उसको फोकस कर रहे हैं।
Mr. Joshi, while investing, what top 5 parameters you look at, number 1, and number 2, how much ROI you expect?
I mean, as investors, you'd want the question to ROI is as much as we can, right? I mean,
That's okay, but then we baseline.
But I'll give you a brief about the venture capital industry. Venture capital industry in the last 10 years, after the Startup India movement was launched, the alternate investment fund, alternate investment class which we belong to, has on an average given 24 to 27% return. Some of the funds have made 30 plus, some of the funds, but the average is 24 to 27 on our investment. So that's why if you see more and more people are now investing in startups. So the second question, first is founders' credibility. So for example, the best thing about Wavex, and thanks again to the team, all the founders जो भी हमें मिले और even जो startup pavilion में, the founders' quality is excellent. You know, to his question earlier, there is a founder from Dhanbad. He is as good as a founder from Noida or Bangalore. So I think the founders, जैसे आशुतोष जी ने बोला, क्या founders अपने आप को they educate and they become that category. So one is that founder and the founder's passion. Like we met one entrepreneur, DC Verse, he's doing it the third time. So all of us investors asking, यार ये business तो तू करेगा ना? या मतलब we invest. So I mean the founders' quality in India, and I think it's Startup India and the programs being run by the government, the founders' quality coming out is excellent. और मैं मेरी entrepreneurship की life में I was not as mature as these people are at the age of 20, 25. Even the creators, they're so mature. I think we all have a great talent pool in India, and programs like this is just going to get the talent pool up. So to your question, founders की quality, certain funds हमारे जैसे हैं जो sector agnostic है, but there are certain funds जो एक certain sector में invest करते हैं. So they look at probably those sectors. Third thing they look is whether we are hesitant, क्या just business शुरू हुआ है तो invest करें. हम देखते हैं क्या कुछ traction है, या जैसे आज सर ने बोला क्या आपने startup सिर्फ idea नहीं हो, आपने आगे steps लिए हैं, आपने company form की है, आपने team बनाई है, आप market में है. So we look at those factors also overall from investment point of view.
Hi, good morning. This is Harshada Vedpathak here. I got 3 questions which are interlinked, so I'll ask one after another. पहला ये है कि अभी आपको जितने भी प्रोजेक्ट प्रपोजल आए उसमें से कोई यूनिक या इंटरेस्टिंग प्रोजेक्ट की कोई लिस्ट बता सकते हैं आप?
Mustafa and Rajesh can better answer. They have listened to
I think they have listened to all of them.
Well,
आपने भी सुनी है.
I think since the time I opened my mouth in the press conference, I have been saying that by taking names of those startups that इतने unique थे. जैसे मैंने गीगल का नाम बोला जो kids के लिए ऐप बना रहे हैं, so that उसमें violent content, nudity and certain sensitive character जो है, तो गीगल is there, DC Verse is there जो human clone बना रहा है. So imagine, I will not take names, but imagine a yesteryear's actor or actress जो हमारे favorite रहा करते होंगे, उनके साथ एक movie बन सकती है. I mean, what an amazing concept, right? DC Verse was the company. So arcade games करके, I mean, जो arcade games हैं, who wants to, the gaming, create arcades in malls where people can do gaming. Another unique. Fourth AdMod करके company है जो, suppose you shoot a film and if a brand wants to place their product in that film, they are doing that. Such unique, right? I'm seeing all expressions, all of you इतने ध्यान से सुन रहे हैं. For us, meeting those 30 startups was amazing. I mean, we were just looking at each other and saying, wow. I mean, the wow kept on happening. Obviously, the investment karna and in karna, it depends on the factors in terms of their revenue, but just sheer ideas which these guys came up with. I mean, I think Sandeep,
I think Cinedub was one more, amazing product. It's like एक movie आप देख रहे हैं, and घर में if you want to listen in Tamil and I want to listen in English, तो अगर हम ब्लूटूथ डिवाइस कनेक्ट करेंगे तो वो जो डिवाइस है उनके आपको वही पिक्चर तमिल में सुनाई देगी और मेरे को इंग्लिश में सुनाई देगी. So it's like अभी तो हम लोग Amazon पे जाके we change the thing and everybody has to listen the same language, but at the same moment, I mean, the few of them are very very good.
अच्छा ये से
घर में होता है. My wife is a Bengali and Hindi. She wants to hear it in Bengali. I have to buy one more screen so that वो बंगाली में वो मूवी देखे और मैं हिंदी में देखूँ. But now with this device, we don't need to do that.
मेरा सेकंड सवाल ये है कि ये आइडिया में चुराव नहीं, उसके लिए आप सामने वाले को कैसे प्रोटेक्ट कर रहे हैं? IP I mean to say in short.
So इसको ना हम लोगों ने क्या किया कि so of course anybody wants to steal an idea, that's a different subject altogether. But as far as these pitches are concerned, these pitches are in front of investors only. There are no other startups sitting in that. So generally startups खुद भी अपना आइडिया दूसरों को नहीं बताना चाहते हैं. तो जो रूम में लोग थे वो registered investors थे, and there was only one startup standing there presenting to them. When he is out of the room, then the second startup comes and talks. So generally,
So just to add to this, most of the startups that were presenting, one of the common questions that everyone asked them was, is your product patented? A lot of these startups had their products patented, and I would be very proud to say that the technological innovations that were presented, they are so unique, they have not been tried out any time in the world, anywhere in the world.
Okay.
And it is, I think, now our responsibility to take everything global and make India proud.
Okay,
One thing I want to add to your question, see, when it comes to IP production, see, इसमें scientifically अगर मैं बात करूँ तो we all have heard E equal to MC square, Einstein's formula, right? Mass can be changed to energy. Nuclear fusion can happen when you fuse two atoms differently. Everybody knows the theory, but it's the main part is implementation. So idea अगर आप चुरा भी लेंगे, if you अगर हमने अभी idea बताया भी, so it's the implementation part which is actually tough. You cannot just listen to ideas. Shark Tank India is an open season, you know. उसमें हम लोग रोज around 5 pieces देखते हैं, but we cannot implement that idea. It's the toughest part. Implementation is the toughest part. फिर भी हमने उसको यहाँ पे we know कि idea चुरा के कोई उसको बना नहीं सकता. हमने उसके लिए भी यहाँ पे क्या close room pitching करी है. Other startups were not able to listen to the ideas of other startups. Only investors were there, and we, the organizers, were not set up, were not there in the pitching sessions. Only 40 investors and one member from the startup. And those closed sessions were not even DD or any news channel was allowed to record.
My last question is that कि what is the age limit to come to you in startup format, and कि suppose किसी का एक्चुअल बिजनेस शुरू है बट दैट पर्सन कुडंट रन इट सक्सेसफुली, वो ही और शी वांट टू विल बी फॉलोइंग इनटू दैट स्टार्टअप कैटेगरी, एज लिमिट एंड द किसी का सक्सेस नहीं हो रहा है बिजनेस, तो विल दैट पर्सन कैन कम टू यू?
So there is no age limit. Anybody can be a startup. I am an experienced person in a domain, and now I want to do something completely new, and I can do it at age 50. So there is no age limit to a startup. चल नहीं रहा मतलब, if they are not able to take it forward, then it was your idea, your thought, it is your success and your failure. Somebody, when the investor has invested in him, they have taken due diligence, and that is what I said, the resilience is very very important. अगर आप उसको आगे नहीं लेके जा सकते आइडिया को, तो फिर it doesn't make.
Just to add one thing, in startup, just I said a few moments ago, कि startup और personal innovation में ये अंतर होता है. Startup is a continuing thing. ऐसा कहा जाता है when you create a company, it's the legal death of founders. जब आप startup में जाते हो, there are no founders, there are CEOs, CMOs, CTOs, right? अगर startup की तबीयत खराब है, मतलब founder जो है अगर वो नहीं कर पा रहा है, तो he can replace the CEO, CMO, CTO. So when you transit from an individual contributor to a startup, it gains a structure. अगर शांतु नारायण Adobe CEO नहीं है, कोई और रहेगा, Adobe will be there. Same is the case.
थैंक यू
सर, मेरा नाम प्रशांत गोडसे। मेरा सवाल ये है कि अभी उसके बाद अभी भारत में से पूरे गांव के ऐसे भी क्रिएटर सामने आएंगे, कुछ स्टार्टअप के लिए सामने आएंगे, जिसके साथ वो टाइप होंगे, उनका जो पैसा इन्वेस्ट करेंगे उसके अंदर वो कभी लॉस हो गए, तो इसकी जिम्मेदारी दोनों की तरफ, लेकिन सरकार भी उसको कुछ सिक्योरिटी देगा क्या सरकार की तरफ से, क्योंकि दोनों भी जिम्मेदार रहेंगे जॉइंट वेंचर के लिए, तो इसके लिए सरकार का उसमें क्या रोल रहेगा?
देखिए, सरकार चलती टैक्स पेयर्स मनी से, so we can provide seed funding, but in the case of losses, एक बार seed funding दे सकते हैं, उसका leverage funding भी गवर्नमेंट अरेंज करा देती है, but उसके बाद it's purely business. ये होता है कि जब आप स्टार्टअप कंपनी हो तो बैंक्स कैन गिव यू लोन्स. अगर आपका बिजनेस नहीं चल रहा, आपको जिसको आपने सुना भी होगा, बैंक्स लोन्स को ग्रीन अप करते रहते हैं, तो वो चीज़ें तरीके से गवर्नमेंट का ही सपोर्ट है कि गवर्नमेंट आपको इतना फाइनेंशियल एक लेवरेज दे रही है कि आपको पैसा मिलता रहता है. लेकिन अगर देखा जाए तो स्टार्टअप का प्योर कॉन्सेप्ट यही है कि दे हैव टू रन इट सक्सेसफुली, दे हैव टू पुट देयर एफर्ट्स।
लेकिन अभी सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से बहुत से ऐसी वेबसाइट आएंगी कि लोगों को ऐसे स्टार्टअप वाले को लूटने की कोशिश करेंगे।
So
इसके
I'll
security
see.
के
I'll
लिए-
tell you what. Not all startups will be successful.
हाँ, ये
When an investor invests money,
तो शो करने
he looks at it as a portfolio. कि मैंने पूरे साल में 10 स्टार्टअप्स में इन्वेस्ट किया, एक स्टार्टअप शायद बहुत अच्छा हुआ, उसमें उनको शायद 10x 15x पैसा मिला वापस, the 5 may have just failed. I think Joshi ji will tell better, but overall they will look at it from a portfolio perspective, and of course, and when they do, they also know when they are investing in a startup, the risk is to fail, so that risk is always there.
सर मैं धीरज शर्मा
I think in a lighter note I'll say मैंने मेरे 2 दोस्त की शादी करा दी, शादी नहीं चली, they can't come to me. So I think that's what the government is looking to do, and which is great. ये 2 दोस्तों को मिलाना, किसी को तो मिलाना है, वो मिल नहीं रहे, पर शादी नहीं चली या फिर रिलेशनशिप नहीं चली, जो मिलाता है उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है। इनफैक्ट हमको हमेशा जो मिलाता है उसके लिए ग्रैटिट्यूड होना चाहिए, नहीं चली क्योंकि हमारे वजह से नहीं चली। So I think on a lighter note, I think probably people
सर
understand
मेरा एक
what's
सवाल
right.
है, मेरा नाम धीरज शर्मा है, मैं आगरा से हूँ, मैं लास्ट 2 ईयर से एक मीडिया कंपनी चला रहा हूँ, TNA पूरी मीडिया नेटवर्क के नाम से। तो हम अभी एक डिजिटल ई-पेपर रन कर रहे हैं, डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म रन कर रहे हैं, इसके साथ हम डिजिटल मार्केटिंग का काम करते हैं। अब मेरा मानना ये है कि आगरा में चूंकि हम लोग वैश्विक शहर है आगरा, ब्रज कल्चर है, ब्रज हमारे साथ में लगा हुआ है, तो हम वहाँ का जो यूथ क्रिएटर्स है उसके लिए हम क्या कर सकते हैं प्रोडक्शन हाउस टाइप में, या जैसे फिल्म इंडस्ट्री के लिए लोग चाहते हैं कि मुंबई में आकर के हम लोग कुछ काम करें, लेकिन आगरा में कई बार देखने को आया कि बहुत लोग साजिशों का शिकार हो जाते हैं, उनको बेटर प्लेटफॉर्म नहीं मिल पाता है। तो वो प्लेटफॉर्म हम कैसे डेवलप कर सकते हैं, क्या उनको दे सकते हैं, या हम अपना स्टार्टअप भी है जैसे हम 2 साल से चल रहे हैं उसको सर्वाइव कर रहे हैं अपनी थिंग से, लेकिन और क्या हम गवर्नमेंट के बेस पे क्या सपोर्ट ले सकते हैं, या और कुछ टेक्निकल ग्लिचेस आ रहे हैं तो हम कैसे कवर अप कर सकते हैं।
So ये सवाल एक्चुअली आगरा के लिए नहीं है, ये दिस इज फॉर अस ऑल द टाउन्स लाइक दिस, राइट? इट इज नॉट द क्वेश्चन ऑफ आगरा। सो इसको मैं एक्चुअली 2 तरीके से देखता हूँ, एंड आई इन माय जर्नी ऑफ अबाउट 15 years विद स्टार्टअप्स, आई हैव सीन सम 1 लाख से ज़्यादा स्टार्टअप देखे होंगे। इट फर्स्ट इज द फाउंडर। The founder should be able to understand कि मैंने ये बिजनेस शुरू किया है, I should be able to scale it up to a level. Scaling के लिए and this is the job the founder would have. उसको अपना प्रोडक्ट तो चलाना ही है, प्लस he has to keep finding कि मुझे पैसा कहाँ से मिलेगा, मेरा प्रोडक्ट कहाँ बिकेगा, those basic elements जो होते हैं। Startup India runs these schemes. It is not this. Waves is one which has happened now, and it has bring in the ecosystem from only media and entertainment. It's a very, very good beginning. But apart from this, if you look at Startup India portal, if you look at Invest India portal, there are a lot of these kind of challenges which keep happening, and regularly वहाँ पे होते हैं। जितने भी schools and colleges हैं, हर एक जगह पे अब, in fact, all the universities have incubation centers. You can be part of those incubation centers. There are investor pitches not only at events like this, but quite a number of this ecosystem में होती हैं ये। It is just a matter of actually looking at it and finding it out कि मेरे लिए क्या useful है और मैं उन तक कैसे पहुंचूं। Of course ये एक entrepreneur की journey है। While at government level, of course, as Ashutosh ji suggested, that WaveX will continue. There are plans to set up a lab, an incubation center, and I'm sure there'll be a couple of them across the country. So the successful startups, or the startups who want to really have to go through the grind, they should be part of those kind of things. So I think WaveX will be taken care separately as we move forward. But there are existing programs where you people like you can definitely come in.
अभी सर जैसे हम लोग उसके साथ अभी न्यूज़पेपर भी है मेरा TNA पुणे के नाम से ई-पेपर चल रहा है, लास्ट 2 ईयर से हम उसको रन कर रहे हैं। अभी प्रेस सेवा पोर्टल की शुरुआत हुई है, जो RNI लेटर नहीं मिल पाया उससे, वो चल रहा है। क्योंकि यहाँ पे हमने गवर्निंग अथॉरिटी के DM से बात की तो बोले हमारे पास पोर्टल है ही नहीं है। हमने प्रिंटिंग प्रेस से एग्रीमेंट करा लिया, लेकिन उसके बाद में DM कह रहे हैं हमारे पास लॉगिन नहीं है। हम प्रेस सेवा पोर्टल RNI ऑफिस से वहाँ पे कॉन्टैक्ट किया तो वो लोग बोले कि हमने बना दिया, उनका पोर्टल शुरू कर दिया है। तो मतलब वो चीज़ें प्रैक्टिकली नहीं हो पा रही हैं, उनमें बहुत अधिक हमें कठिनाइयों का सामना करना पड़ रहा है, चुनौतियों का सामना करना पड़ रहा है। दूसरा इसके साथ ही मैं ये चाहता हूँ कि आगरा, क्योंकि हम वैश्विक शहर हैं, ताज के नाम से जाने जाते हैं, वहाँ का जो यूथ है उसके लिए कुछ हमें जैसे नया करना है। या तो मीडिया और एंटरटेनमेंट की बात होगी, मीडिया सेक्टर में वो जाता है, आगरा में ना तो कोई अच्छा हम स्टूडियो या मीडिया हाउस नहीं है आगरा के अंदर, ना ही आगरा के अंदर कोई प्रोडक्शन हाउस है जहाँ पे लोग अगर करना चाहें तो वो जा करके, वैश्विक शहर आते हैं हम लोग। मूवीज मेरी नागार्जुन जी से बात हुई थी तो उन्होंने कहा था भाई मैं 5 साल पहले आगरा गया था, मैंने वहाँ पे मूवी शूट की, ताज देखा, लेकिन हम ताज वैश्विक शहर है, वैश्विक पहचान है, वहाँ के लिए आप लोग क्या नया कर सकते हैं, उस चीज़ों में आप आगे करिए कुछ चीज़ों को लेकर।
जब Airbnb शुरू हुआ, राइट, there was a genuine problem. Ola was a genuine problem था जिसका किसी एक एंटरप्रेन्योर ने एक सोल्यूशन निकाला, राइट। हम में से किसी ने नहीं सोचा था ना ओला के बारे में या उबर के बारे में। There was an entrepreneur who said मेरे पास एक भी टैक्सी नहीं है but I'll solve the taxi problem across the globe. It's possibly the similar kind of a problem. It's one of the entrepreneurs from a small town like Agra will come up and find out a solution what can be done, something like this.
Yes.
I don't know whether this solution, I have an answer to this or not, but always, it's always go back to the basics, get the inspiration that today the largest taxi company does not have a taxi of its own. Largest hotel company does not have a hotel in its name, right? But they solved a problem. Somebody brighter guy came and did it, right? And that's the whole, ये जो हम लोग ये करते हैं, I mean, I've been a banker all my life and I've been actually doing all this. There's only one piece. पूरे साल हम मेहनत करते हैं, साल में 4 या 5 ऐसे स्टार्टअप निकलते हैं जो कि जिनको आपको पता पड़ेगा कि साहब ये इन्होंने 500 मिलियन की फंडिंग ली और ये यूनिकॉर्न की तरफ जा रहे हैं. So I think it is just a matter of that one bright person coming and solving the problem. So we have to together find that person. That's about it. Please.
Thank you. I think I think. Can I please?
Suggestion है मेरे पास.
Please.
Can you
We are
say
running
something?
more out of time.
May I put
We can have
questions,
one
it's
more
interesting
question
to see
I
such a
think-
interesting one.
later.
So thank you so much.
One last question.
Yes.
Please, sir, please.
Yeah, I'm Abhishek Gupta, and I am hailing from the corporates with an experience of 18+ years. I have been with Sintel, Atos, Amdocs, AT&T and all, and I hail from Agra, wherein like Amar Ujala and Dainik and all these newspapers come from this region. What I analyzed when I was working with these corporates that all these media publications were only as published domains, but not having any online presence. तो हमने स्टार्ट किया कि स्टार्टअप तो उस समय सर एक कॉन्सेप्ट ही बिल्कुल नहीं था, 2008-9 के आसपास के लिए स्टार्ट किया था, तो उनको पोर्टल्स पे ऑनलाइन लाने के लिए कोशिश की गई. उसके बाद आई वर्क विद एटॉस एंड ऑल विच आर ऑफिशियल पार्टनर ऑफ ओलंपिक्स एंड पैरालंपिक्स. उनके साथ भी वर्क किया हुआ है और उसी का मॉडल हमने रेप्लिकेट करने की कोशिश की, जिसमें एजुकेशनल ग्रुप्स, इंस्टीट्यूशंस, यूनिवर्सिटीज वगैरह के साथ में उनका को-करिकुलर, स्पोर्ट्स एंड ऑल को हम एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे लेकर के आए, एलुमनाई मीट्स एंड ऑल को हम प्लेटफॉर्म पर लेकर के आए. अब यही चीज़ को एक स्टार्टअप में ग्रो करने के लिए वी रिक्वायर सम एमिनिटी, सम रिसोर्सेज विच हैज़ ए रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ इम्पोर्ट्स एंड ऑल. उसमें गवर्नमेंट से या लाइक AIB और MIB से हमें क्या सपोर्ट मिल सकता है? That's what I require.
I think it's a question based on requirements, so we can have further discussion on it. एक बार आप हमें लिख सकते हैं because we are in the planning stage for next Wavex and Wavex planning. तो उसमें इस टाइप के अगर कोई भी है जहाँ imports की आपको help चाहिए in the field of media entertainment sector, you can write to the ministry and we will take कि how we can solve that problem.
We are like looking forward to create ripples in the startup domain. लेकिन स्टार्टअप को कई बार होता है सपोर्ट नहीं मिल पाता, they don't have those amenities और resources is a crunch.
because if someone is starting or we are wanting, हम उस चाह रहे हैं, like सर आपने सर ने स्टोरी शेयर की, that person from ओयो, उसको किसी ने मेंटर ने उनके सजेस्ट किया sell something and टूर पे हो गया, he went out on a tour and then he realized that there is a requirement of a hotelier industry or something, room availability or something. Oh,
no, so I tell you a very simple answer to this, and there is to enable, again we go back to our Uber and Ola thing, right? टैक्सी की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करनी थी, बिना गूगल मैप के कैसे सॉल्व होगी? नोबडी, गूगल मैप वाज देयर, but किसी ने नहीं सोचा था.
Triangulation and all that.
So what I'm saying is, these are the difficult journeys which entrepreneurs like you have to go through. That is the grind. That is why the journey is so difficult. That is why startups fail, right? It is only the support ecosystem. He's a support. They are like amazing support today. When a government comes and says that, look, I will give you a seed funding, they know that 90% of these startups will fail. Government भी तो support कर रही है ना. So what I'm trying to say is कि there might be some impediments which possibly, I mean, you can go back to Ashutosh ji and the ecosystem. He may not be the right person. Maybe somebody else is handling that kind of a problem. But the point is that these are tough journeys which entrepreneurs have to take. We are there to support. Please come to us. We'll help you out as much as we can from the ecosystem. Yeah.
So I'm representing a business delegate as well as media. Just like Waves says we are connecting countries, connecting creators and connecting countries. Earlier its slogan was "Come sail with us." We are K-Kites Tech, and we say "Come fly with us."
Sure.
So we look forward to support.
Sure.
One thing I added with Mr. Putul Kumar yesterday, I would like to add here as well, maybe if it can be a valid point. We don't find companies like BMD, Vmix and all these which are providing technologies. Technology not only as equipment or like some this hardware, but also as software, backend coding and all, which actually is a complementary thing to the hardware. Without that coding and that stuff, automation के बिना सर बहुत सारी चीजें is like blunders or it's a like task in itself. Automation can handle things within seconds, जो it will take times.
I think we can discuss that further on in a one-to-one, and we should not let others wait. So we can continue.
Thank you so much. आप लोगों की सवाल और season हमारे professionals जिन्होंने जवाब दिए. It was a very interactive session and I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.